What is up, Team Happy and Fit? Happy Tuesday. Did anyone else need a reminder of what day it was today? I knew it was a team call, so it had to have been Tuesday. I had some really great mentoring calls today, and I just wanted to just share this. When you're in a conversation, this is going to be gold, by the way. I was talking, I was like, this is fire. And I was like writing myself notes of things I was saying. And these are all things I've said to people before, but I just think this is going to help you in your conversations. How many of you have ever gotten a conversation where they list all the reasons why they can't? So I can't, by the way, time is not a good one right now. But just like, home workouts don't work for me, or this or that, right? So as I was on a mentoring call today, I said, say this. Say, you're giving me all the reasons why you can't. I want you to give me all the reasons why you can. And which one sounds better? Which one sounds better? I'm willing to bet on you. You are listing all the reasons why you can't. Can you just tell me a few reasons of why you can? And I think that flip in mindset could challenge them in that moment. That is something that I have done in the past. And that question has really helped me help people. Because it's super easy when someone is so used to their own BS to continue to believe it. So when they list the reasons why they can't, they're just continuing to remind themselves of why they can't. And how are you the sunshine? Why can you do this? Why will you do this? I'm willing to bet on you. I'm willing to say that you'll actually love this. And then my second thing was, it's interesting, and this is how you turn a no into a mindset, right? When someone gives you a no and not yet, or home workouts don't work, you think, man, it's super interesting to me that people who haven't had results tell us how it will be. Home workouts won't work for me. Have you successfully completed them before? Because if you have, you wouldn't be saying that. I'm willing to bet that this is different. It's kind of like me asking advice about Disney World to someone who's never been, right? Instead, like, they're asking someone advice on Disney World to someone who's been there. Like, we're the people who love this. We've really worked out, but yet they're saying no to us. So they're saying no to something they've never been successful at. How I look at that is, I can't take this too personally, because I can't unknow this. I can't unknow the success and the results and the friendship and the freedom that I've had. And so I'm not here to change their mind. I'm here to influence their answer and mindset. But for them to be like, oh, it won't work for me. I don't have this. I don't have, because let me just tell you, when someone says, I don't have money, someone built this business, one of the most successful coaches in the network. When I say successful, there's lots of different meanings to that. So I'm going to narrow that. Financially successful, right? She started this business bankrupt. And she probably makes $230,000 a month. $230,000 a month. $250,000 almost a month. Started this bankrupt. For someone's reasons why they can't is someone's reasons why they can. Someone will tell me, oh, I have grad school, I have this, this, and this. And I'm like, I can point to this person, this person, this person, this person on our team that is doing the exact same thing. So how do I influence that decision for them, right? Is that when they say, oh, I can't because of this, this, and this, be like, oh, girl, that sounds like a lot. Actually, I would love for you to join this even more, because I can connect you to so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. I'm pregnant, I can't. My friend Kinte Collins just did her workout today and is 38 weeks pregnant. I would love for you to be in connection with her, right? Like, that just shows, like, I'm showing that people in their reasons of why they can't are doing it. And then it flips the script. I'm not trying to switch and persuade. I'm just trying to influence. I'm trying to show. I'm trying to think level bigger. And then I was telling this to my friend Corey today. I said, the people She said, this was very profound to me. Kinte, I promise we'll start soon. She said, when I started this, the things that I thought would be hard are actually not. The things that I thought would be easy are actually hard. What was hard for her? People in her life that are close to her that aren't supportive of this. She did not expect that. Can anybody else relate to that? That you were shocked by some of the people in your life that weren't supportive? That shocked her. But what she thought would be really hard, right? Were people saying no, getting rejected, but she's like, but I love this too much. And their rejection doesn't change what this has done for me. I'm like, that's amazing. And I said, you know, Corey, one day someone's going to quit. And I've had that happen. But can I tell you this? And this is not something I wish. This is not something I hope for. This is not something I want this to actually happen. 98, 99% of the people who quit don't transform. 98% of the people who never say yes never change their life. They're living the exact same life. Can you relate to that, to someone you've talked to for the last 3 years and nothing has changed with their fitness and nutrition? They're still saying no to themselves, but yet they are telling you why they can't do this and nothing has changed. 98% of the people who never actually joined me and continue to say no haven't had some crazy radical transformation. That's healthy. That's life-giving. That's sustainable. That's a healthy lifestyle. And so anytime I get a no and not yet a ghost, I think about that. Julianne, you stay consistent. Julianne, continue to share your message and story. Julianne, you take care of you. Because at the end of the day, you're growing, you're transforming, you're changing, you're getting better. You cannot stop because someone isn't willing to do that. So a couple mindset things. Those are things that stuck out to me today where I'm like, oh, it's so relatable. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. So I'm so excited because Kinte and Carrie are just light. If you've ever been in their presence, they are just fun and nice and just intelligent. They're so many things. They're in love, they're beautiful, and they're just people I want to be around. And so as I was talking with Kinte, I was like, Kinte, listen, he was telling me that he was going to be doing some Dave Ramsey stuff, okay? And helping other people with finances. And I said, Kinte, would you ever present this to Happy and Fit? We need you. I actually made you, I think. I don't even know if I actually asked you. I think this is what you're doing, Kinte, because we need you to do this. It sounds right. That sounds more right than me asking. And reason being is because Kinte has such a huge heart for watching people become healthier and happier, but then living less stressed and debt-free. Like, doesn't that sound good? Isn't that someone you want to surround yourself with? And I just think with Happy and Fit, my biggest goal is for all of you to live healthier and happier and have more choices. If we can get the brains of Kinte to come here and share more about how you can go debt-free, that's better than anybody losing 50 pounds to me. Like, because I just don't want that stress in your life. It's actually really cool when you lose 50 pounds, but I just don't want this elephant on your chest when it's something that you can take care of. So Kinte is going to speak with us. He's a Bears fan. We're going to forgive him. And he's just someone that I adore and I'm so grateful for to have in our life. Kinte, actually, before you get started, can you share a little bit of background about your story? And I have a curious question is, have you always had this relationship with money? And can you tell us, like, if so, yes, because it was modeled, or if not, I didn't. I had a limited mindset on money. Sometimes I still feel guilty about money, even though my financial situation is much better than what it used to be. I'm learning to not, I see abundance everywhere. I see money as good and not evil. I see it a ways to bless people, but because of my growing up, it's like this limited resource that I'm retraining my brain to think different. And so I've gotten better, but I'm just curious about that question and I'm going to let you take it, my friend.
Well, thank you, Julianne. I hope everyone can hear me perfectly clear. I'm a very soft speaker, but I love to be personal and I want everyone to take a lot of notes today because I'll drop some hints here for you, financially driven. But to answer your question, Julianne, I have not always been wise when it comes to finance. I think that's the reason why I'm so aggressive with learning and becoming more resourceful in the area, because I've always lacked in the area in the past. Just a little background on me. I grew up in Chicago, so yes, I'm a Bears fan. But the cool thing about me growing up in Chicago is I'm the middle of 7 kids. And my mom did not raise me, my dad did not raise me, my grandmother raised me. And so she was, I remember her amount that she got every single month to take care of me and my siblings. It was $2,100 a month to take care of a household of me, my 6 siblings, herself, and then her daughter at the time, my aunt. So that's 9 heads in the family for $2,100. It's not an easy thing to do. So my background in history with money, I always apologize to Carrie about this. I'm very conservative when it comes to money, or at least I used to be. That's my original entry to money. It's being very conservative, being very wise with making sure every penny counts, being very decisive on making sure you're saving money for rainy days. It's not if it happens, it's when it happens. So I've always been a saver, a natural saver compared to being a natural spender. Um, but then I think one thing I can attribute to why I'm so driven about finance is because when I was a kid, it was a lot of us, it was 7 of us, and we always had to find out ways to entertain ourselves. And one way that we always entertain ourselves was playing board games. And my favorite board game was, you can try to guess, Monopoly. Yes. So if you're a Monopoly lover, you can raise your hand. If you're not, I still love you. But Monopoly has been the game that always been attracted to that game. And there's so many things that I learned from that board game. I wasn't planning on talking about Monopoly so much today because that's kind of I can do a whole lecture on just how that board game teaches and trains you to be financially wise and financially smart with your money. But I'll get in yeah, better than Bears, yes. But I'll get into a little bit of some practical things. We're all Team Beachbody, but more importantly, we're the family of Happy and Fit. And like Julianne just mentioned, we are very, very honed in on our physical health. And for me and my wife, we don't focus on just one type of health. For us, go Bears. Thank you, Emily. For us, health is actually 4 pillars. And physical health is one, and that's eating right and working out. And Beachbody really helps us out with that and the supplements and everything we do. Second pillar is mental health. So that's studying, understanding your personal development, training your mind, understanding what it takes to get through the day and understanding where you're at, being aware of where your mental mindset is. The third one is, spiritual health. So reading daily devotions, understanding what religion you have, what religion you follow, being very focused on making sure you don't just go to church on Sunday, but you practice your religion every single day, because that's a very strong foundation for my wife and I in our marriage. And the big one we want to talk about today is the fourth pillar of health for us, and that's financial health. Julian, you kind of just mentioned this earlier. You felt like you were not financially fit growing up. You always, and it kind of stayed with you as an adult. And unfortunately, that's not something that's addressed in the education system, where they teach you how to handle your money wisely and how to be mindful of all the resources and abundance of money that you will have throughout your life. Um, and so that's really what I really want to talk to you guys about today. The big what for why we want to talk about finance. I remember a very distinguished moment for myself and my wife, when we met Julianne for Summit. She's telling us some stories about her when she was a teacher, and how she would make the kids feel very uncomfortable when she would openly talk about like sex, organs, and all those things in front of the kids. And you can see the kids kind of cowering and getting uncomfortable physically, mentally, all the above. I think honestly, when someone talks about finance, especially personal finance, we kind of have that same reaction. We have the same knee jerk kind of, oh, that's kind of my business. Like, don't, I got it all figured out, or I do what I can. I know this much, and that's all I need to know. But honestly, with your financial health, there's a lot of individuals out there who lack in the area, and it makes them a very unhealthy person overall because you can lead to mental stress from not knowing how you're going to make it to the end of the month. It can lead to the number one, unfortunately, the number one reason why people get divorced in America is because of financial struggles. So um, there's a big need for financial literacy and financial knowledge, and I've always been lacking in that. And over the past couple years, I've definitely deep dive and followed a bunch of gurus. Dave Ramsey's one of them. But I follow a bunch of these gurus so I can learn and be resourceful and understand really how can I be the best financially fit person I can be, and then not be selfish with that knowledge and resource and information and share it with so many others. So you're probably wondering, okay, he says we need to be financially healthy. What does that do for me? I would say the number one benefit to being financially fit is you give yourself a raise instantly. And it's no secret that when you are, let's put this in our coaching lives, we're running our health and fitness business. Once you really turn a switch and be intentional with following your daily tracker, doing the behaviors and activities that need to happen, it's not gonna be a mystery when you find out that this is what it takes to be a successful Beachbody coach. Um, Now flip that over on the financial side, you can apply those same principles, practices, and habits and do the same thing with your finances. And the number one tool that I wanna make sure that each one of you, this is something you wanna write down here. One thing I want everyone to know is the way to be intentional with your money is to be very budget wise and to do a budget. So if there's one thing you take away from this entire financial spill I got for everyone is you need to have a budget. It's like my wife is echoing this in the background. If you guys can hear, she's like half sleeping, just nodding her head. Do a budget. So um, this not only helps you be more financially fit, but it helps you understand where you're lacking. It helps you understand what you need more of. And so when you're having conversations with people, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's an accountability partner, or maybe it's a parent or a child, anyone. If you have a budget, you know exactly how much income you have coming in for this entire month. You kind of projected and forecasted, I have X amount of dollars. Let's just throw a number out there and say $10,000. I have $10,000 coming into my household the month of April. Now, to do a successful budget, a successful zero-based budget, you want to make sure each one of those dollars are accounted for. You don't want mystery money floating around in your accounts, in your pockets, in your wallets. So what that means is each one of your expenses, no matter what expense it is, if it's a fixed expense like your mortgage, if it's flexible, well, for us, Beachbody is in that fixed account. That's not a variable amount for us every single month. So that falls on the fixed. Um, how much fuel you use within a month, that may change from month to month. So that's what we call a variable expense. But what you want to do, if you have $10,000 in the month of April, you want to make sure that you label and give a home to each of those $10,000 before April even gets here. So when the month happens, you know exactly where your money's going to go. And so if there's one thing you take away from this, it's do a budget. And the best way, there's multiple budgeting apps out there, but the best budgeting app, I'll type it in the notes for everyone here. It's called Every Dollar. It's a free app too. There is a upgraded version, but Every Dollar app, just put in the notes for everyone. That's gonna allow you to, it's very simple. It walks you through, especially if it's your first time. It's gonna walk you through and teach you exactly how to calculate all of your income, and calculate all your expenses and make sure that it's zeroed out by the end of the month, because you want to make sure every dollar is spoken for. Now, I talked to some younger audiences like third graders, fourth graders, middle school kids. And one thing I always want to hammer home with kids at a very young age, because when I talk to adults about personal finance, it's a little twitch in their head that's like, oh my God, I wish I would have learned this earlier. Oh my God, why didn't I know this 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Um, but when you're going over your budget, especially in the every dollar budget is structured to help you in this, there's only three things you can do with money, and it's very simple. You can either give money, be very generous. Doesn't mean you have to. And under that you can say give to my church, give to my school, give to family members, give to people in need on the street you see, or someone in a line shopping in front of you. You can give money. That's one of the three things you can do. Number two, second thing you can do is save money. That was something I was always a big advocate for. Like, oh my God, I need to save more money. I always felt like I never saved enough money. And that's the second thing you can do with your money. And within your budget, you're going to want to make sure you give money throughout the month. You want to make sure you save money. Depending on where you're at in your financial stage in life, you may be flexing those and doing different things. But unfortunately, the third one, number three, the third thing you can do with money is the obvious one that everyone's very good at a lot of times, especially here in America, that's spending money. So the three things you can do with your money is give it, save it, or spend it. And so if you got $10,000 and hitting your account and coming through your household in the month of April, you want to make sure you got a mix of spending, saving, and giving all out of that $10,000. And your budget will help you allocate exactly where you're going to give, where you're going to spend, and where you're going to save. You're going to know that, and it's going to give you peace of mind. You don't have to worry about overspending. You don't have to worry about, do I have enough or not having enough? And if you do, you'll identify that very early so you can make, modify, and do changes, cut back on stuff, or find other alternative ways of making money, ramp up your coaching business, all the above. But that's going to be the three things you can do with your money. So number one thing I want everyone to know is the Every Dollar Budget. Its budgeting app is free. And out of those three things I just named, giving, saving, and spending, all three of those should be under your expenses for your budget every single month. All right. And what I'll do, I see a lot of people taking notes. If there's some questions on that, put them in a box, and I'll give you a chance to throw some questions at me before I move on to the next section of it. But so far we got being smart with your money by being intentional, and being intentional with your money is doing a budget every single month. So we got some Every Dollar fans out there already that's already impact their lives in a positive way, life changing it for the good. So that's good to hear.
Kinte, I have a question. So when you're being intentional and setting for your budget, we do a similar thing. Can you walk us through what that looks like? Like, are you sitting down with Carrie? Like, what are you guys talking about? What does your conversation look like? We have to pray before ours.
Definitely.
So can you tell us more?
Yeah. So how deep I want to go with this. Me and Carrie, we actually started doing budgets religiously about 2 years ago within our marriage. How?
Summit.
Oh, right. Well, right after Summit, actually. So Summit was life changing for us in so many different ways. But it's usually in the beginning, it takes, I'll say, a half hour, 45 minutes, a good chunk of your time to sit down, because you're trying to forecast. You're looking for, let's say, the month of May. You might have birthdays, you might have anniversaries, you might have 5 Sundays in a month where you're giving offerings 5 times at your church. You may have car maintenance coming up. Every month is different, so you really take your time to sit down and forecast what do we expect to happen as far as expenses for this month, and then also on the flip side, how much money do we expect to make in the following month. And that's from multiple sources of income. I'm a big advocate and big fan of promoting expanding your expenses to your income to multiple streams of income. And I'll get to that a little bit later, but to address the budgeting, you really sit down right next to each other. If you have the app, you both can have the app together. And because it's free for both of you, you can do it on your laptop. When we first started, we actually did it on paper. We didn't know about the app. So we are kind of old school and putting everything on paper and pen, writing it down. And I'll be honest, this takes maybe a good 2 or 3 months before you really get a full grasp on exactly what your budget looks like, because there's a lot of things that are fixed within your monthly lifestyle, and some things that come up out of nowhere, and you have to account for that every month. And if you've never done a budget before, trust me, it's going to be easier if you don't use cash a lot, if you use your bank cards a lot. It's easy to do a budget because you just look at your last 30-day statement from your bank or your bank transactions, and you can say, oh, okay, this is how much I paid for utilities, this is how much I spent in gas, this is how much I spent in food, this is how much I spent going out to eat, this is how much we spent renting movies or buying stuff online. All of that, you can look at your transactions over the last 30 days to kind of help you forecast if you've never done this before. So if you're starting from ground zero. But Julianne, I love that you said that you and Eric pray before you do it. And that's vital because it's not pretty, because you may value saving and, hey, I wanna do this for the team. I wanna give all this. And Eric's like, we should probably spend money on saving up for a new car. This car is making this weird noise. I don't want you and Faye driving around in an unsafe car. So we need to save more this month so we can get that car. So the more you sit down and pray and you have that strong spiritual health foundation in your marriage or in your relationship or with your accountability partner, you're definitely gonna benefit more and save a lot more time and create a budget that actually works for you. Oh my goodness, yep, yep, that sounds about right. But were there any more questions about the budget before you went to the next part?
Eric wants to say something.
Oh, I was also gonna say, so like even though like one of us is like a saver and one of us quote would be a spender, it also
Hmm.
helps like know like what your partner's priorities are, and then like over time, I think for myself personally, as we've set the budget, I'd be like, oh, we have like an extra $50 here. Is there someone like you have in mind that we can like either go buy them a meal or like do something like where I can um I would say
Allocate those funds.
what was that?
Allocate those funds. You got
Yeah,
50 extra
allocate those
bucks.
funds, right?
Yeah, tell them
Yeah.
where to go. Caitlin asked, is one of you more into it than the other between you and Carrie?
That would be the Monopoly man. That would be me. But this is the cool part. So when me and Carrie first started doing this, it was like trying to drink salt water with more salt than water. It was not going down easy. It was a struggle. It was hard, and that's me being very transparent and very real. Um, and to be honest, I'm more into it because I'm a very analytical thinker. Numbers make sense to me. And that's just how my brain is wired. So naturally, even if we both were both spenders, I'll naturally love doing a budget because I like charts, graphs, numbers, and things of that nature. And the blessing is we are yin yang. So the things that I don't really focus on and pay attention to, she does. And when we sit down and we go over this budget together, we actually fuse our thoughts and we come up with what works for both of us. And it's not a biased budget. It's a budget that works for the whole household. Um, yeah, so let's see. A lot of people identify whether they're the spender or the saver, or you're both spenders and you're both savers. It makes a big difference, and so that's how we address it. It takes time, it takes patience, takes grace. It's a good thing that we love each other, and we remind each other of that while we're going through the budget. But once the budget's in place, Life is not an autopilot. You still have to. It's like when you buy a Beachbody program. Okay, you don't get happy once you buy the program. You get happy once you see it on your calendar. Okay, this day I have this many workouts. This week I have to complete this. By the end of the month, I'm halfway through this program. That gives you satisfaction. We are very strong here in the Happy and Fit community, and we do a lot of personal development. Julianne is a big advocate of that. And one of the things that I want to I want to send a message to everyone when it comes to doing your budget, sitting down, and it's your first time, and you're trying to get your partner on board with this. Have grace and don't focus on what's not accomplished yet, because you will sit there and you look at your numbers and you might be under. You might have more expenses than income, and that can be frustrating for you in your marriage. But you have to understand you have to start somewhere, and once you start here, you get very happy and very excited, and you celebrate all the small victories that you have from point A to point B to point C. Don't sit back and say, oh my God, I should have been at Z already. Oh, if you were on board, we would have been halfway through already and we wouldn't have to worry about this. That's not being grateful. That's not showing grace. And you aren't being loving in those situations. And I know Happy and Fit, we're a very strong, loving family. And so we all have to appreciate the gratitude of what we have accomplished so far. So if you sit down for an hour and your budget doesn't have all the expenses that you predict for the next month written down, be grateful for what you have set right now. And then the next day or the next week, you probably need some days to kind of cool off and, get back to the loving mood, and then recap and pick up where you left off. But that's my 2 cents. That's what I can give to you right now when it comes to budgeting. So be patient with yourself, be loving, definitely pray beforehand. And if you are, not everyone's in a marriage, not everyone's in a relationship. And if that's your situation, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm a big fan of helping people with financial transformations. Like, I feel really good about the fact that since I started Beachbody, I've lost 46 pounds. But I also feel really happy of being $70,000 less in debt than I was 2 years ago. Like that's a really big transformation, and it's huge. And I can't explain that this happened overnight. That's something that took time, it took patience, it took grace. And I'm not sitting here focused on what I still have left to do in the rest of my life to set up for retirement. I'm focused on and being grateful for what we already accomplished. And if you approach anything with that, then you will go very, very far. So before, if anyone else got any other questions on the budget part, I'll kind of go to what I consider to be different financial stages in life, and then we'll go from there. So looks like, oh my goodness, everyone's great. Thank you. So now one thing you realize is the budget is kind of like the ground, the foundation. So you know what you got coming in, you know what you got going out. And you pretty much, it makes you intentional and make you have control over your money. But what you also have to realize is that everyone's foundation is the same height. There's some people in life who, when they do their budget, um, they will be in what I consider the survival stage in life, where month to month they're probably living paycheck to paycheck. They probably don't have multiple streams of income. So if something like the coronavirus takes away their only job that's coming in and helping them pay for their bills, that's going to hurt this person so much, and it's going to put them even lower. So even though they have a budget, it's still going to be hard for that individual. So that's the first stage. Survival stage is what I call it. Beginner stage is what you can also label that as. But someone in that case, in that stage in life, maybe living paycheck to paycheck, or even less than paycheck to paycheck, where they are forced to take on loans and debts and dig themselves into a deeper hole. And so that's why I label it the survival stage. The shocking fact is 70, it hurts me to even say this number, 78% of Americans are in that survival stage. So that means that if you are driving down your block and you see 5 homes, 4 of those 5 homes are in their survival state. And that means that they're not making ends meet. That means that they are probably underwater, and it provides a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. And you'll see that, and it'll trickle over to other aspects of their lives. So they won't go to church. They can't give to church. They feel bad about that, so they avoid talking to the pastor, growing in the congregation. You'll see that mentally they are very loud. They're very unstable. They're very unsettled. They're very stressed. Physically, they're out of shape. It impacts so many other areas of your life when you have that financial burden and stress and being in that survival stage. Um, but that's not the only financial state you can be in. So to elevate from there, if you're not in that survival stage, you're probably more in a stable stage. Is what I call it. Is like, and this is the second one of the three. It's I label it stability stage or growth stage. This is where about 22% of Americans are. So what some people call middle class Americas, where you're not living just paycheck to paycheck. You do have some money left over at the end of the month. You don't have you don't have all the savings. You don't have fully funded retirement accounts. You have some debt in your life where it's dragging you down financially. And you have to make car loan payments, student loan payments. You have to make medical payments, credit card payments. All this stuff is coming out, but you're bringing in enough income to handle all this that's being thrown at you. And unfortunately, you're not surviving, but you're not thriving either at this stage in your career. So um, for individual in this stage, you want to make sure that you're focused and you know exactly how to progress throughout this stage to get up to the next stage, which is where some people call it 1%, is actually less than 1% of people. They're in the legacy stage, is what I call it. And what that means is when you're at the legacy stage, you're an individual who has multiple streams of income. You don't have to worry about your financial situation. Like, you're taken care of. You have your debt's paid off. You have your home paid off. You're able to give very generously to individuals, to groups, to organizations, to businesses. You're at a stage where you can be abundance financially to so many others. It's not just about what you can do for yourself, but what you can do for others at that stage. And that's why I call it the legacy stage. Um, but each of these stages, when we're faced with this pandemic, you have to maneuver it a different way. So I got some tips and advice depending on what stage you are. I'll give you some advice on some things you should focus on just to help you navigate through this time in America, and this time in history, where some people don't have the opportunity to go out and work. Some people, expenses are climbing and getting higher and out of control. And some people just trying to figure out, okay, well, I don't have to worry about income and I don't have to worry about expenses, but where should I be focused financially? So I'll start with the survival stage because unfortunately that's the majority of America. And that's the majority of what a lot of people go through. And if you're not at this stage, it's a blessing to not be here, but just be mindful that someone around you or someone very close to you is very well in this stage. So take some notes, take some advice. So when you call them up, you can speak some hints and some clues and advice to them. So the first thing I would say to an individual that's in the survival stage is protect your four walls. And the four walls, this is not something I came up with, it's something Dave Ramsey came up with. In a time of crisis, when you are below or at means, where you are barely making it at the end of the month or even less than making it at the end of the month, you want to make sure you're very focused on protecting the four walls. The four walls represent the food that you have to provide for you and your family. It represents the shelter. So you have to, if you're paying rent somewhere, pay your rent. If you're paying mortgage, pay your mortgage. The third one is utilities. So that would be keeping your lights on. We're doing a lot of Zoom calls, so keep your internet on so you can work virtually and continue to have a stream of income. And then transportation. If you have to be an essential employee or worker and you have to get from point A to point B, you need viable, reliable means of transportation. Those are the four things. I don't care if you have $1 million in student loan debts, if your card, not the card, if your credit cards are knocking on the door saying you owe MasterCard a $500,000. I'm throwing out enormous numbers, but it does not matter if you have things in collections at this point. If it's a crisis mode and you're in a survival stage, you protect those four walls. That's going to protect you financially in the meantime and protect you mentally and physically as well, because you're not going to be able to focus on increasing your streams of income if you are going to a home and you don't know if you're going to be evicted, or you're in a home and you don't have lights, you don't have electricity, you don't have heat. That's not a good place to be physically or mentally, and it's all connected to that financial aspect. And then that was the first step. So for survival stage, protect the four walls. There's a second clue I want for all the survival stage individuals, and that would be, I think I mentioned this 3 times already, but increase your streams of income. Having multiple streams of income doesn't always mean you need multiple full-time jobs, but we full well know as the Beachbody coaches, this is something you can do as a side hustle. But if you're in a very drastic situation where you need to make ends meet quicker, there are alternatives, even in a pandemic like this, where you can actually stay safe and increase your income. And the one that I use, that I always advise individuals to do, is to donate blood or plasma. Oh no, my internet's messing up. Can you still hear me? Not yes, if you can still hear me. Okay, good. I see the lagging on the video, so I just want to make sure you can hear me. Increasing your streams of income, and you can do that in multiple different ways. You can donate blood or plasma. During this time in history, you can be a food delivery driver. That can be Uber Eats, DoorDash. What's the other one? It's Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, any of those services, or even grocery delivery employee. And these are all jobs where you can actually select times that work around your full-time schedule. So you don't have to quit your full-time job to hop and do all of these other side hustles, but it does give you immediate, within 30 days, you can increase your income and have alternatives to increasing your income and making ends meet during this survival stage if your full-time job is cutting back or actually relieving you during this time. So being able to identify all these different ways. VIP Kids, if you're a teacher, VIP Kids is at a all-time low as far as, surplus, because there's so many stay-at-home international parents right now due to this pandemic, and they're not able to teach their kids. So VIP Kids is another way where you can actually increase your income instantly and get very good return on that. And then a third clue, this one is if you're really, really in a tough situation in that survival stage, this will be relief programs. So if you watch the news or do any research, you know that student loans, student loans, house loans, rent payments, I think it's actually illegal to evict people during this time. All of these things are due to relief programs. These relief programs are available for certain individuals in very dire situations. So if you're in the survival mode, please research relief programs for the things that you need relief for. If you can connect your four walls and protect that, you need to rely on increasing your income stream and identifying relief programs in your area that would actually help you minimize your expenses. All right. So that's everything. And so those are 3 hints I got for survival stage individuals. For the stability or the growth stage, this is where Dave Ramsey, guru in teaching, really homes in and makes it very easy and very practical. So if you're an individual in stability or growth stage, there's a few different things you can do in this stage. You can eliminate your debt, and there's so many ways of doing it. just to keep time crunch, I don't want to dive too deep into that. Maybe we'll have a follow-up call just to talk about all the different ways that you can pay off your debt. But during the stability and growth phase, you want to take that debt off your plate because you get an immediate return on all the money you're spending on those debts. And then also it frees up your monthly income so you can allocate those funds in different ways to help you be more financially fit for your future. Um, and so once you eliminate the debt, you want to do something that I'm so happy that we got taken care of before all this pandemic stuff happened, and that's establish an emergency fund. This emergency fund is going to consist of your monthly expenses, having your monthly expenses allocated in a savings account or in a what do you call a money market account where it can earn some interest and earn some money for you. But you want to just have an emergency fund in place for at least 3 to 6 months, depending on your work situation, because some people may only have um, a month or two before their income picks back up, and you want to make sure you're able to make a living, not fall into hard times during that moment, and just continue to continue throughout your financial stage. So having an emergency fund is very viable for someone in this stability and growth phase. And then once you get your debts taken care of, and then once you get your emergency fund in place in this stage, that's when you start focusing on investing. Now, investing is just turning your money and making interest on your money and growing your money without you working. So investing can come in very different forms. You can invest in your home by paying your home off. You can invest in real estate by buying other properties. You can invest in stocks. You can invest in retirement accounts. You can invest through your job. But any way, shape, or form, you want to make sure you're investing, being intentional with your investments. With your investing after you pay off your debt and after you get your emergency fund in place. So if you're an individual and you're in a stability or growth phase, those are 3 steps that you want to take. You want to eliminate your debt, which I don't have enough time to sit down and go deep dive into that today. But excuse me, eliminate your debt, work on an emergency fund, and then third, and start investing for your future and for your retirement. And then the final stage, I want everyone to be involved in, everyone to be striving for, and to live their life in this financial stage, this the legacy stage. At this point in your life, you don't have that. You don't have worries of losing a job. You don't have worries of, will I be able to retire? You're able to start helping your children. You start helping your grandchildren. You start helping the businesses around you and things of that nature. So something that an individual in this particular stage in life can do during a time in a moment like this is build capital. So you can be heavily investing in small businesses around you and gaining and growing your capital in the meantime. You can start to buy more real estate and buy more land because real estate and land are asset earning assets, income generating assets. And so what that means is when you have your personal home, it's a liability because you're making payments on a loan, and that interest is not helping you, it's hurting you. But when you finish off paying your home and you start to buy rental properties and buying land, and you then get a return on that land in the form of rent and payments like that and appreciation on the property, you're not working, but you're gaining so much from that investment. And not everyone can do that. Once you're at this legacy stage, you will be able to do that. It won't be a burden to you financially. And then the one part that I should have started with this, but you can give very generously. Literally, like if you see someone at the gas station crying because they don't know how they're gonna make it home, even though the gas prices are going low and they're struggling, they're in that survival stage, which is so many people that are so close to us, so many people that we love, called brother, sister, mom, dad, cousin, uncle, best friend, colleague, Beachbody coach. We are all surrounded by individuals in their survival stage. And when you're at this legacy stage in your life, you can be very generous to them financially Um, I was very, as a child, I was always looking to give and help, and as I've grown as an adult, that's only elevated and grown within me. But it really encourages me personally to be able to continue to grow, be more financially wise, to earn and grow my personal assets, because I know the more I have, the more I can give. When you're at this legacy stage in life, you're so focused on not how much you're going to get from this world, but how much you get to give to this world. And that's an amazing place to be at. That's a very stress-free place to be. You're not stressing over how you're going to eat. You're not stressing over, are your kids going to be able to go to college? Or you're not stressing over, am I going to lose my home? Your stress and worries has nothing to do with financial things at that point in time. You're really focused on, how can I give back to this? How can I help so many other people? Um, and I know with each of you being a Happy and Fit coach right now, you're in the business of transformation. And so when you physically transform someone, they get inspired, they feel better about themselves, it changes. If you impact the wife, it changes her relationship with her husband, her relationship with her children. Now if you do the same thing financially, and you help someone out by giving to them and being in a position to give to them, that transforms them just the same, and it might even last in their mind a lot more than the physical transformation. But honestly, throughout the whole thing, it's just a magical transformation, and you can be a part of it, but you have to get up to that legacy stage to be able to give that on that level and that scale. So I see some comments here. Mm, Looks like we got someone about a fourplex, and that is magical. I love hearing that. I love seeing that, and it became an additional stream of income. Let's see here. What's a good place to start investing? A good place to start investing, for me, if you're not already investing yourself by being able to understand the basics of investing, I will start with that, because the more you have control over your money and how your money is being allocated in the markets and all these different places and avenues, um, the better you understand something, the better you can change it and influence it. So if you're looking to start investing, invest in financial literacy, invest in learning and expanding your mind when it comes to how to handle money. Because one thing I haven't said already is, no matter what stage you are, it doesn't matter your income. You can gross $1 million and still be in a survival stage. You can gross $1 million and still be in $2 million in debt, and still have negative assets and still live paycheck to paycheck and less than that. You can be in the stability stage in life and you're grossing $500,000. You could be a doctor or a lawyer, or someone with a high income earning, but you're not setting yourself up for retirement. You're not able to give generously to others. So when it comes to how much can I invest, where should I start investing, I would say start by learning how money works, because once you know how money works, it everything else kind of follows into the funnel for you. The more you know, the less you don't know, and the more you can multiply your money and make it work for you instead of you work for your money.
That is so good. And you said, okay, what words do we have for Kinte? Like, we're so grateful. You're amazing. And just how much you love the Happy and Fit community. I just wish I could hug you guys, but hashtag quarantine.
Mic drop.
And then living like way far away. But when you said the more that I have, the more I can give, Sarah Blakely, who's a self-made millionaire, Spanx, she said, whoever you are now with more money is who you become, and you become more of it. So like if you're giving and loving and you see abundance now, you'll only become more of that. And it's just such a mindset and learning, especially like the 4 pillars. And you really made me think like who around me in my life is in that survival, and being mindful of that, prayerful for that. And just even like what you just taught me, being able to I don't know, just like be able to help other people in that way and see this mindset of like abundance is everywhere. We just have got to know and we've got to be smarter. And
Mhm.
and the more hope we have, and if we have hope now, we'll just have more hope later. And so, Kinte, wow, like you should look at the chat because I don't even know, like it's like your baby's so blessed because you're just gonna read bedtime stories and the baby's just gonna feel so much peace and your
I'm
baby's
actually I've already started writing books for the baby, and it definitely has to be financially literate for this child. I want my child to be an entrepreneur. I'll be
Yes,
honest. I can give this testimony because I'm right in front of the camera, in front of
preach it.
all the individuals. Um, I really want a daughter because I see so many strong and empowered women every single day when I look at Beachbody, Happy and Fit, and that makes me want a daughter so she can be a boss like all these other bosses I'm surrounded by. Like that's what I'm really, really excited
I'm
about.
I'm
So
actually crying right now.
when I see all of you out there posting and sharing your journeys and building your business, I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a daughter like this one day. That makes me so excited.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
anyone who voted for daughter or girl earlier, thank you. I'm trying to speak this into existence.
Listen, if it happens to be a boy, I know a little girl named Faye. Like that's done. Like it's fine. Like it's really for me and Eric really just so this can work out. But in all seriousness, like thank you for just your encouragement and just the way like I hadn't the way you approach money, like just be graceful, and when you're working on your budget, like just trust the process, like just you make me like want to talk about it and be more proud of it because I think there's so much hidden anxiety and stress and fear when you said that like people lash out or get angry and they hide it and they pretend that it's not there. Just the way you were just like this calming voice of like it's okay to feel afraid about it, but like let's work through it is so reassuring. And Carrie, if you can hear me, I am the extra salt in the water and I've grown a lot. But that little comparison, I was like, oh my gosh, Eric's just laughing because I was like, that's for sure how our first meetings were, of me just being fearful and defensive and nervous and like all the things. But then now it's like, oh wow, like all the beautiful things that can happen with our money, all the beautiful ways we get to live our life because of it. And so Kinte, first of all, did he not win the whole team over with what he just said about having a little girl and like seeing this?
I'm
Because there's,
serious. I'm so serious. I look forward to it. I can't wait to have a daughter.
oh my gosh, I can't even handle this. But like, there's so many women who are like, money is bad, play smaller, be smaller, like stay quieter. And I just feel like you gave all the permission right now with all the females on this call to just be like, go for it and keep empowering the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's financially that's one thing I want to do is empower people. This is something like I want to prove a point earlier is it's very uncomfortable for you to even talk about this to your spouse. That's your other half. And that's a conversation that's very tough for individuals to have just to their spouse. So when you open up and go outside your house to like a friend or a family member or maybe even a pastor, just anyone, who do you go to when you have money problems? You
Good.
really don't have anyone, so you just deal with it and you continue life, and it compounds in the wrong way. So when you want to focus on investing, focus on learning and growing and being more financially wise because it makes you more comfortable to talk about it, makes you more comfortable to listen, and you just learn and grow within your marriage, and that just compounds and spreads throughout other areas of your life.